chains that bind. They go floating to nowhere. Cemetery of soul and mind combined. They go floating to nowhere. When I think of leaving Earth behind, they go floating to nowhere. They go floating to nowhere. They got to say it with me. Hey, ever thought of leaving this behind? They go floating to nowhere. When your soul escapes from chains that bind, they go floating to nowhere. Cemetery of soul and mind combined. They go floating to nowhere. When I think of leaving Earth behind, they go floating to nowhere. They go floating to nowhere. To nowhere.
You ever dream a strange dream that you was floating over a body of water like you so boating? Keep the air was full of mute sounds like you was choking. See, I seen dry, but my clothes were super soaking. Something felt potent. Not a buzz from a vice, but within, from a light you see was broken. All our heartbeats, sad mind was not emotion. Still my doubt bled when I threw it in the ocean. Now shit's real. When a dream is a metaphor for death, I'm at Dawn's matador, and I ain't at the top step of the door. In my mind, of which I get to step down the steps of my spine to the nerves and they bind. Hit rewind if you bind for a prophecy. Even prophecy couldn't see inside my prophecy. Edgar Allan's waiver couldn't talk me into stopping me unless the talk was walking through the void with some enlightened sheet.
Ever thought of leaving this behind? They go floating to nowhere. When your soul escapes from chains that bind, they go floating to nowhere. Cemetery of soul and mind combined. They go floating to nowhere. When I think of leaving Earth behind, they go floating to nowhere. They go floating to nowhere. They got to say it with me. Hey, ever thought of leaving this behind? They go floating to nowhere. When your soul escapes from chains that bind, they go floating to nowhere. Cemetery of soul and mind combined. They go floating to nowhere. When I think of leaving Earth behind, they go floating to nowhere. They go floating to nowhere. To nowhere.
See, I love major role with immortality, to circumvent reality. A bard about morality is simply accept tragedy. Imagine me passing over peacefully, easily. The passing of a time between our real and me, gleefully blowing we smoke at the cavities. Born from the southern state of black society, it's 12 slugs. Be the pepper to the diabetes, quietly commit the genocide that people's piety. Not a one God, but the Lord's within. We sing a swore to be inhuman, brush the cut off our limbs, kill each other's mothers, brothers like a bucket of whims. Guess we genies in a bottle, Robin Wood for his Tim's, little nigga.
Ever thought of leaving this behind? They go floating to nowhere. When your soul escapes from chains that bind, they go floating to nowhere. Cemetery of soul and mind combined. They go floating to nowhere. When I think of leaving Earth behind, they go floating to nowhere.